Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Kairo is a game put out by Queen that's a very abstract game about people and trying to get different people into markets. And each market's going to have a different color, and each meeple is going to be a different color, and you're going to need to set your markets up to try to lure people in. It's just an abstract game. It has a way of scoring. It has that involved in it. You're going to have an abstract board. These people getting into markets really doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense why they always go to the one that's closest. Do you shop at whatever place is closest regardless of price? That's what's happening here. It's really just about matching this little component to get him into this component and how that's going to score. And if you score in somebody else's market, they will be able to score points off of that. And you want to build up bigger and larger markets because when they go to that market, you're going to get victory points. And the larger your market is, the more victory points you will get when the people go there. This is a fine game. I've enjoyed it. It's probably a 5 or a 6 that I would say on the BGG scale. It's okay. There's nothing here that you're like, wow, I want to play Kairo. Guys, come over. Let's do some Kairo today. 3 games in a row. It's just okay. I think that's fine. And every game doesn't have to overwhelm me. Every game doesn't have to be the best thing ever, but you do want to know what you're getting into. So this is what I call a palette change. This is a game that you might want to put on the table when you're going from maybe something heavy and get a little bit lighter, or you want an abstract, something like that. Now, for an abstract, which if you watch any of my reviews, you know that I'm not a huge fan of abstract games, this is probably one of the better ones to me. I kind of like what's going here. So you can take cards that are up, and each card that you take will allow you to build on a certain area of the board. And there's these Barker cards you can take that will allow the meeple that's moving to skip over one of the places and go to something that's further along. Thus saying, hey, they're yelling, hey, get over here, come over here. So you spend a lot of the game getting these Barker cards because you don't want to go to somebody else's place if you don't have to. So it just became getting a lot of Barker cards. And it became that, like, every time I get a face-up card, I'm also getting a Barker card. And your opponent's kind of doing the same thing. And it kind of slows the game down. You know, really, if you took out the whole Barker thing and you just choose where it goes, I think the game would move a lot quicker. It may unbalance the game, etc. I'm not suggesting that you should do that. I'm just saying that this is something that might occur in the game. It just feels like it just slows things down more than it gives you anything additional to the game. With that said, you have the whole Ticket to Ride. There's these cards. You can take one off the top. The card distribution of it's neat. You're going to be putting these markets out where you can. The purple ones, for some reason, are restaurants, and they can only be placed in the restaurant zone, and nothing else can be placed in the restaurant zone. There's a little bottleneck that can come. You can start blocking things off. If you like that sort of thing, then this game is very good. The rules are good. The components are nice enough. It's a beautiful-looking abstract game in the regard of that it's trying to have a theme. Not for me. This is why I'm going to go ahead and purge. This game is just forgettable. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's great. It's just somewhere in the middle, and it becomes forgettable for me. It is one I've had quite a while, and I've played quite a few times and enjoyed my time with the game. But now it is time to part ways. Goodbye, Kairo, and this will be a purge. Here's Kairo, which is from Queen Games. You can see a very colorful box. I don't know if this is a box that would sell the game, but you can see the boy and the merchant, and it kind of really does tell you kind of what's going on in the game. So you open it up, you're going to get a Queen Rulebook, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get a board, which we'll take a look at. Then you're going to get a whole bunch of these little chits that you'll have. Everything is really nice cardboard. You're going to have this for enough players. And then you're going to have this funky bag. This actually came with it. I guess it's thematic, and what you're going to put inside here are some of these cardboard tiles. As normal, everything with Queen is going to be great. You're going to have these little cards, these wooden things. These are your score trackers. These are just pieces of wood that are fantastic. Then you have this little thing that you'll build to kind of shield what everybody can see in front of you. It's very small, very tiny, but it's enough to hold it. There's no player aid or anything on it. You can just build this. But this cardboard is very, very nice. This is probably a little bit too big. It's probably this size to fit the board, but it probably is too big, to be honest, for what you get inside of it, just component-wise. You can see the board here. This is going to be a very abstract game. You're going to have a place down here where your cards will go, scoring track around. This will be the primary where you'll be playing the game, and there's a place for you to put your tiles up there. So very bland. Really this is just a grid. That's what this is, where you'll be placing things and moving things around. It's okay, but this isn't something you're going to look at and be like, man, I really want to play this grid. But this is what it is. You can see the lines going across it. Here's the rule book. You can see a picture of all the components, which is fantastic. You can see the general overview and object of the game over here. You're going to get a picture of setup, which is a requirement now. And then you can see variable starting positions is still set up through here. And a sequence of play of overview of what you're doing. Once you open it up, you can see these are the actions that you'll have. You can see plenty of pictures and examples going through here and about how it costs to work. And then it tells you about how to get the victory points when you're doing the expansions. And it goes into the rest of your actions. On the back, you're going to have the final phase, how the game ends, and how you do final scoring. And it's a little blurb here about how to play a two-player game. I wish there was something at the beginning of the rulebook that said, hey, if 2 players, go there, because it's easy to miss on the back. Otherwise, this is a fantastic Queen rulebook. I love the Queen rulebooks. Honestly, it's probably the best part of their games is their rulebook, and I kind of wish the way they did rulebooks was the uniform way of doing it. I love it. So set the game is fairly easy. You're going to put the different colored markets up there with the medals on top of it. You're going to put 4 cards face up with the Barker cards here and the deck over here. Each of the coins will be on the players over here. These are just within grabbing distance so people can reach them. Then each person is going to take a turn and they're going to put out 3 markets, one at a time, and these will be put out here following all the restrictive rules in the game for playing these. And then once it's all set up, that will leave everybody with 2 of these that have not been put out on the board that you can put out at a later time. Then you're going to take these guys out randomly from the bag, and you're going to put them out on the start spaces that are signified inside of the rulebook. And you will do that before you put the markets out. Then you put the markets out, and there'll be one that's left over that's set to the side of the board. It'll be put over here on its color. So what you're trying to do in this game is score the most victory points. And how you score victory points, I'll explain as I choose the game. You have 3 possible actions. On your turn, you can choose one of them. The first action you can do is draw 2 cards. You might either take a Barker card, or 2 of those, or one of the face-up cards, or the card from the top of the deck. So I could take a card from the top of the deck, and I could take a card from here. That is 2. Then once I've done that, this would be refilled. Or I could take a Barker card, and maybe a face-up card, and that would be my 2 cards for the turn, and this would be set aside there. So that's an action. Take 2 cards of any one that you want down here. Second possible thing you do is you can lure one of these customers to one of the market stalls. In this case, there's only 1 blue out, so I was to put the blue out, he would go there, and I would get a coin for each market that's there. There's only 1 market, so I would get 1 blue coin to set aside. The blue would come off the board, and the red that was off the board would come on. So there's always 1 customer that is off the board. Let's say somebody wanted to move this red. You would go to whichever market is the closest. 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to the bug. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get to the ankh. So he would come here. That person would score 1 because there's only 1 market there. He would get 1 red coin. The red would come off and the blue would come back on. Now, let's say that this had multiple expansions on it, and I would have moved the red here instead. Let's say it was built up like this. Then it would have came here. I would have got 3 coins for that trouble. So you would have got 3. 1 for each market expansion, including the stall itself. So you would get 3 coins. Then the red would come off and the blue would come on. So each stall that's assigned to it, when you go there, you're going to get more coins of that color. And that is going to be very important as we go to the third possible action. If you remember at the beginning of the game, I told you had some of these left over. So you can always play one of your cards to put one of your stalls out. And if you look here on your card, it will tell you it can be placed in this area of the board right here. In addition, there are some spaces that are a joker right here, and you could pay any coin that you want of any color, and you could place it in any one of these 3 slots. Or you could choose any 3 cards discarding these into the discard pile, and you could play anywhere on the board. The only restrictions is that purple must be played in this restaurant area, and no other color can be put in here. So purple can't be played out here, and no other color can be put in here. Also, when you're putting these aside, let's say red was here, for example, you cannot build red in such a way that it would butt up against somebody else's where I can't tell who owns what. So there'd always have to be at least one separation there. The more likely thing you'll be doing is adding onto these market stalls. In this case, once again, you'll play a card telling you what area that you can play it in. So in this case, I can play up here on the board. I would discard that, and then let's say blue, I wanted to add on to that. I would add on here. After I add the expansion, I would count the number of spaces, 1, 2, and that is how much I would have to pay in order to play that expansion, 2 blue coins. So you're always going to play the color that you played and the amount that the expansion would be added to. In this case, I added 1 to that blue stall. I'd have to pay 2 blue. I could not pay any other color. Now, these medals are going to be on there. So if at any chance you build one, you'll take both these medals if you're the first one to build it. This says that you have the largest blue area. Now, if somebody else built a blue area, let's say he built this here, and it also has 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, then he would take the silver one away from me. And if he ever built on to his third one right here, then he would also take the gold one. And that could be worth a matter of 5 points. And each color has a different value assessed to it. So those are the main actions you'll be doing. You're going to be putting these expansions out. Now, when you build these expansions, you're going to get victory points for that. So in this case, I built 1, 2, 3, 4 onto that. I would get 4 victory points for building that additional expansion. So the majority of your points during the game will come from building these expansions and be able to get more money when somebody comes there because it's a larger stall, but also get victory points when they're built. Now the game will end when one of these stalls is empty or 2 of them only have 1 tile left. At the end of the game, you will get victory points for the medals that you have, and the money that you have left over is worth 1 victory point for every set of 3 coins that you have. Whoever has the most victory points will be your winner of Kairo. Who should buy this game? If you like an abstract, and Queen makes some really good abstract games where you're moving components around on the board for no other reason, that's just how they score. And this is one of those games. There's nothing that draws me in, but if you want a little light abstract with some rules and a little bit of theme sprinkled in, if you can, squint a little bit, it's there, I suppose. Then this might be for you. This is what I'd probably say try before you buy, as I do most of these like 6 and 7s and 5s that don't just blow me away. This is what I would try. If you're a really big fan of abstract and you like these kind of light abstract games, it's not too overly thinky. I think most of the point, I should do this or do that. Do I press my luck and try to get some more cards to get the placement that I want, or will my opponent take the spot that I want? That plays into it more than like you're going to get beat in 2 turns, like a chess game. Then this might be appealing to you, and then I would say, hey, give this a definite try or a buy. But for me, it's going to be a Purge. Doesn't fit my gaming qualities necessarily, and I've played the game quite a few that I've had my fill of it. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.